I think of voice technology as a separation from what we're kind of being pulled into more with.
While you wait with arms wide open.
I was out in the short north earlier this week, and I was talking with someone about Voice First, and they said they didn't like these devices, and when I asked them why, he said, they feel trivial to me. Like, I would ask them a question like, what's the weather? Or how old is Donald Trump? Or who is the first president of the United States? That doesn't feel like anything substantial. And I was like, you're right. That's exactly what I want these devices to be. I want them to be a trivial question answer so that I'm not sitting here debating with you. Like, I've had fights with my family about facts. About facts that I could ask facts, actually. That becomes a question with Alexa because it's just whatever's ranked highest.
That's right.
So if you have the highest search engine, if you have good search engine optimization, then I was just saying it, you become the fact.
It's usually better than a hunch, but...
Yeah. I mean, so you get a little bit more clarity with these devices, but they also provide the bias. Like, Alexa is now, they offer an Alexa for Kids device, and it's targeted at much younger audiences. There's parents mode on it. There is... and this is what I meant to bring up, is that there's an incentive to say please. They have this thank you model where anytime you say thank you or please to the Alexa devices, it actually gives you positive feedback for that to try to incentivize while these children are young, expressing gratitude and expecting politeness. But it's like, to some people I feel like that sounds nice. It's like, oh, it's helping train my kid. But at the same time, Amazon is setting that standard. Who is, when you buy the device, you're buying into that platform, and when there's really only two, maybe Amazon, Google, and Apple are these big players, you either have to buy into their model of parenting it's going to turn into, or you just aren't part of the system. You're just not considered and not brought into.
Yeah. But it also, though, it shapes behavior, right? And so, like, for example, when I guess this is an example of voice, but just like working on texting somebody on your phone. You're trying to text somebody and it doesn't like the word you're using, and it will not let you put that word down, and so it takes 5 minutes to send a text because you have to write the word over and over and over again for it to accept it. That's really crazy, right? But the other thing, and I think we were talking about this earlier, but this new innovation of that Google has, that now when you're texting somebody, that you can it will handle your social relations for you, and that's not trivial. So this new innovation of Google, it will say, if you're texting somebody, bring up a choice for you where you can say, okay, and the choice is, shall we go out for tacos? So that's really scary. That's not something that's trivial. That's like managing your social relations and telling you, this is what you ought to do. You ought to ask the person for tacos, right? And so I think that's. So I think it just is not very far-fetched for voice apps and all sorts of apps to begin to start shaping your decisions by directing you to certain kinds of choices. What do you think about that?
As I was scrolling through my news feed this morning, I use Google News, and I scroll through, and there's this little button in the bottom right, and I hit either more or less on an article. And then that way I'm training this AI it says these are the articles that I think are the best options for Patrick. And then I say, I like this, I want more of this, or I say I want less of this, and I'm training the AI to make it better. I think that when we're in the discussion of making those choices and we're giving the feedback, and when it's something direct like that, I personally like it because it feels like general articles to me, like Forbes. When I get all of my information from me, I really want to be up to date on voice technology. So when I hear about a new feature like Whisper, Amazon released 2 days ago, so that if I'm whispering to Alexa, she'll whisper back to me and not wake up the rest of the people. So if it's nighttime and there's a husband sleeping beside you, then you can whisper and still interact and find out what time it is if she's your clock, and not wake the other person up. So I like to know about that really fast, and for me that's my curated feed. But at the same time, how much are ads playing into it in these systems where go out for tacos? Was that because an advertiser paid 5 cents per click to be able to put in there like tacos this week, so then everybody in this region are all being pinged for tacos? Or is it actually because based on my past text with this person, you think that I might want to actually go and get tacos with them, Yeah. How much is this me based on what I've trained it, and how much is this because of the advertisers paying a little bit of money to get closer into my life in a more seamless fashion.
What if in the future, though, the value that it brings to people is that it sifts through all of the things that you're buying and suggests things that you would genuinely just enjoy more if you're going to eat?
I think that we're living in a world, one of the 12 trends in a book called The Inevitable by, have you ever heard of Wired? It's a
Yeah.
magazine. Founder of that, Kevin Kelly, he wrote 2 years ago a book called The Inevitable, 12 technological trends that are going to shape the way we live. One of those is called filtering, because in a world of massive data and massive options and unlimited options, the ability to filter down and get something that's strictly curated with what you're looking for is incredible. The fact that Google will give me a response in half a second with 1 million responses when I search how to bake a turkey and it's November, like that is why people use that service,
Yeah.
because of that filtering. And then with more data on other platforms to be able to filter is going to be really big. So I think you're right. Filtering is really critical. So when it builds in and it actually helps us filter out all the noise, when Google can say, okay, we know everything that you've clicked on in the past. Based off of that, this advertiser is probably offering a service that you want, and they also just happen to be paying me money.
And all the other people that we have documented that purchased something here also said that they like this other place that we think you should go to.
So we're comparing when we're using data from people who have bought this thing and trying to predict based off of other things. That I think that's great.
But you're right, it is
At
alarming.
the same time, though, aren't you hurting companies that are small businesses that are not highly ranked, right?
Yes.
And same thing with spaces in cities. So Foursquare and other kinds of, that kind of a thing will direct people to particular neighborhoods and tell people not to go to other neighborhoods.